Hello everybody, and welcome to Tommageddon, a show where all different kinds of multimedia will meet their day of reckoning. I'm your host, Tom.
You know, a thought occurs to me. I haven't done a game review in about 2 months. Kind of a bummer when I stop and consider that my love for video games is what motivated me to start my channel in the first place. So today, I'm going back to basics. Back to my roots. I'm giving you guys a video that combines two of my greatest passions, video games and screaming. I'm back in the saddle, bitches! Surprising absolutely fucking no one. I think explosions are awesome. I mean, have you seen my intro? It's just an explosion. I've named my channel Tommageddon for fuck's sake. Things going boom is kind of my aesthetic. And people are always coming up to me on the streets. Excuse me, Mr. Mageddon. Surely there must be some kind of way to fulfill my desire to cause massive scale wanton destruction without jail time or ending up on a government watch list. Well, kids, have I got an answer for you. Red Faction Guerrilla. The game developed by Volition and published by THQ, the same team that gave us the Saints Row games. It was released in June of 2009 and I bought it when it first came out. I had a lot of fun with this game over the years and often find myself revisiting it. It's kind of odd because I never make the conscious decision to play it again. It's more like I'm just looking through my game collection, stumble across it, and I'm like, oh, hey, Red Faction, sweet. In between, I almost forget it exists. So today we're going to find out why that is. So first off, Red Faction Guerrilla is the third installment in the series, and there are a number of changes. The first two Red Faction games used the Geomod engine, which allowed the player to blow holes in the terrain. You could blast holes in buildings, create craters in the surface of Mars. It was a really good time. Red Faction Guerrilla boasts a brand new destruction engine, Geomod 2.0. You can't damage the terrain like you could with the original Geomod, but destruction feels incredibly realistic and satisfying. In the older two, you could blow holes in structures. In this one, you can absolutely flatten them. In fact, many of the missions in Red Faction Guerrilla revolve around bringing down structures. Another major change is the viewpoint. Red Factions 1 and 2 were done in the first person, whereas Guerrilla has a third person view. This was done so the player can get a greater view of the destruction. Many of the weapons you can get in Guerrilla are there to specifically facilitate greater mayhem. The two base weapons are a sack full of remote bombs and a sledgehammer. You can get a rocket launcher that can later be upgraded to a thermobaric rocket launcher. Oh, that's sexy. There's the singularity bomb that sets off a small localized black hole, drawing in debris, and then blowing up and tossing it out as shrapnel. There's also a rifle that shoots nanomachines and disintegrates stuff. The most disappointing weapons in this game are the normal ones. Gee, do I want the mini black hole or the bog standard pistol? I think I'll take the boring ass Glock. There's also the grinder, which shoots out saw blades. It's kinda cool, but doesn't dish out the destruction I'm after. There's also a gun that shoots lightning. It's excellent crowd control, but it only works on people and vehicles, not structures. And if it can't knock down a wall, I'm not particularly interested. Now that's something I never thought I would say, that I'm not interested in a gun that shoots motherfucking lightning! But here we are. I want to knock down a wall, renovate my house, expand my bathroom. Lightning gun ain't cutting it. Despite all the cool weapons, my personal favorite is the hammer. There's something just so satisfying about hitting people with it. I don't know if it's the sound or the ragdoll physics, some combination of the two. It's just a work of art. The best is when you catch a guy around the head with this bad boy and he goes ass over tea kettle through the nearest wall. Surprise, bitch! You're going to Disney World! The story in this game is super simple. We play as Alec Mason, a mining engineer who goes to Mars to find work and reunite with his brother Dan. Dan tells us about the EDF and how they're oppressing the Martian people and asks us to join up with the Red Faction, before subsequently getting gunned down. At this point, we're basically forced into joining the Red Faction, so we're off across the surface of Mars, blowing shit up and rescuing the citizens from EDF tyranny. This game knows what it's about. It doesn't fuck around with a big complicated plotline. Your brother's dead, there are space Nazis, here's some bombs, boom, done. The downside is that you really don't develop any kind of connection with the characters. Alec's brother's dead before we even get to know him. They try squeezing in a little character development with Sam during the last few missions, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And the final boss is only mentioned once during the entire game, and when we finally run into him, he's just in a standard tank. He doesn't even say anything. I didn't know this was supposed to be him until Alec told Sam.
The general's dead, Sam.
There are only about 20 or so main plot important missions, and if you rush through them, you could complete the game in about 3 to 4 hours tops. The real meat of this game is in the side quests, and there are tons. They range from rescuing hostages, to blowing up important EDF buildings, to riding shotgun with Jenkins and destroying anything that happens to cross your path.
You sleep in your car, you leave in your car, shit in your car.
He's the real hero in all this. Each side quest lowers the EDF influence in each of the 5 sectors. Once the EDF's influence hits 0, a major mission can be undertaken to chase them out of the sector. Major missions are usually things like attacking military bases, kidnapping officials, defending Red Faction strongholds. There's even a stealth mission where you have to plant bombs on a bunch of the EDF's air assault vehicles. Oh man, I'm super good at stealth. Die! Die! I can't see how this could possibly go wrong. Yeah! I'm so fucking good at this! So as I mentioned, the point of the game is to liberate all of the different sectors. There's Parker, Dust, the Badlands, Oasis, the Free Fire Zone, and Eos. Parker's where we start out, a town for miners. Dust is like the industrial sector where mining actually takes place. Then there's the Badlands, which, while very similar to Dust in its empty expanses of red dirt, it's home to the Marauders. Basically your standard dystopian wasteland bondage raiders. I suppose it's just human nature. Who hasn't looked out across a vast, expansive desert and thought to themselves, man, I really want to dress like a gimp and consume human flesh, just as nature intended. I'm not weird, you're weird! Eventually, you team up with the Marauders for the final assault against the EDF, so I guess they're not all bad. Just misunderstood, really. And their use of corpse bits in their lawn decorations is just delightful! Oasis is the regular residential zone, and in some places it actually has grass and other plants. The Free Fire Zone is a long stretch of winding roads where EDF artillery can just bomb the shit out of anyone who enters it. And finally, Eos. It's the capital of Mars with massive buildings and a general city feeling to it. Definitely the most fun place in the game because collateral damage is awesome! The destruction of this game adds new ways to solve problems and accomplish missions that feel really clever. They are not, by any stretch of the imagination, clever solutions, but because other games don't allow for them, they feel clever. You stuck in a building with the only exit guarded by hundreds of goons? Make a new exit! Need to recover some files from an enemy checkpoint, but the front door is swarming with bad guys? Go around back, breach the wall, grab your shit, breach another wall, and GTFO. Unfortunately, this can also lead to some new complications as well. A perfect example of both would be this time I was given a mission to break into Town Hall and rescue some hostages. The road leading up to it was swarming with EDF, and the doors were heavily guarded. So I came up with a brilliant 4-step plan. Step 1! Hijack a space truck. These things are big, they're heavy, they move really fast, and they're durable. So once you get some forward momentum going, the EDF can't output enough damage to stop it. Step 2! Floor it!
No, don't floor it!
Okay, floor it!
I book it down the road, straight for the town hall, and by the time the EDF starts shooting, I'm already halfway there, and it's far too late for them to do anything about it. Step 3! Breach the wall! Pretty self-explanatory. Step 4! Rescue the hostages! And this is where I hit a bit of a snag. You see, I jumped out of my space truck and started cleaning the building. But it quickly became apparent that the hostages were up on the 2nd floor, and I couldn't find the stairs. As it turns out, the stairs in this particular structure were located right nya, precisely where I had parked my truck. I kinda crushed the stairs. So at this point, I had to think fast. I had to get those hostages out before the EDF started swarming like ants at a picnic. Ants with guns, and tanks, and armor! Cue Clever Plan 2.0, facilitated by this game's damage engine. I just love that shit like this is an option. This game has a number of multiplayer modes, but in my opinion, the best is escalation. You and up to 3 other players are given a building to destroy and a randomized weapon from the game. You take turns causing as much damage to the structure as possible before a timer runs out. Each round you get more ammo and more time, and all the damage resets, so you've got a fresh building to smash each time. Whoever does the most damage wins. The only real problem with this mode is if you get something like the Singularity Bomb, because then it's damn near impossible not to wreck the entire building, so scoring comes down to whoever crushes the most already destroyed rubble. Some of the other modes are things like Mayhem, where you cause as much damage as possible in a minute with unlimited ammo, or Behemoth, where you get a giant mech and have to cause as much damage as possible. Speaking of mechs...
Living here in Jersey, fighting villains from afar. You gotta find first gear in your giant robot car. You dig giant robots, I dig giant robots, we dig giant robots, just dig giant robots. Nice.
As a whole, I love the Red Faction games, and Guerrilla is probably my favorite installment in the series, but it does have a major problem. It feels less like a game with a cool destruction engine attached, and more like a destruction engine where they tacked on a game as an afterthought. I think that's the reason why earlier I said I don't consciously revisit this title. As a game, it didn't really leave a lasting impact. The most memorable part of the game is the Geomod 2.0 destruction engine, and the rest takes a back seat. I have to admit, I'm fairly disappointed that the Geomod engine wasn't used in more THQ and Volition titles. Can you imagine if they implemented this in Saints Row? That shit would print money! Or grant a license to the guys who make Dragon Ball Z games. They already use some terrain destruction, but nothing on this level. How satisfying would it be to chuck Guldo through a skyscraper and leave a hole in the shape of his body? I guess the long and short of this is, if you're looking for a well-put-together game with a masterfully told story and memorable characters, you should give this game a skip. If you just want to blow some shit up and feel epic, Red Faction Guerrilla scratches the itch. I highly recommend it. Kinda. I don't know, this one's confusing. I've been Tom, and thanks for watching Tommageddon.